yeah, I take this opportunity to thank the organizing committees to provide me, an opportunity to share with you, some of my views about the situations encountered in this part of the world, and also, my feelings about, the need of networking from the local to the global, and from the global back to the local. Everything needs a lot of consolidation and solidarity. I don't want to waste the time of yours, but I have to admit that, my experience is confined to, the to our part of the world. And I have been, researching on the impact of neoliberalization on community development service in Hong Kong. And recently, I extended my research to Taiwan, China, and I am very honored to have the possibility to further extend to, say, Australia, Canada, and we are looking forward to have more partners as well. Anyway, despite the intention of extending the research, but up till now, my observation is limited to what happens in my part of the world. Well, I take neoliberalism as, I follow those friends who regard neoliberalism as a kind of, from a process perspective, the critical things about viewing neoliberalism through a process perspective is particularly because we have the possibility through this framework to attend to the interaction of the pro-market forces, the strategies, and the resistance of the stakeholders under different welfare and policy contexts. In other words, the resistance of the community workers counts. So to skip those academic parts, what I want to focus on is the experience now in our part of the world experiencing. And I have the feeling that we are all now facing similar kind of challenges. It's what we call the rolling out phase of neoliberalism. Now the government and the state use different ways to transform the service sectors through what we call the new public management principles. Frankly, new public management is pretty old, pretty dated now. They're now talking about new public governance. But my research still focusing on, using this frame, so we follow that. The idea is very simple. I think everyone now, it's a cliche to you. It's that they believe that the quasi-market transformation of the public sector will lower the public spending, will improve, so-called, the efficiency and the responsiveness in service delivery, and will strengthen the participation of citizens, but through playing the role as service consumers. This kind of thinking in action in Hong Kong, and we have, all kinds of changes. But before we talk about the changes, just a few words about Hong Kong, in case you have no idea, nothing but just the name. The key part is extreme social inequalities, income inequalities happens now in Hong Kong. We have the Gini coefficient 0.537 since 2013. Now it's even more worse. And well, the political context, Hong Kong, we always say Hong Kong democracy with a Hong Kong face. But in short, it's nothing but just an authoritarian government. The welfare regime, welfare provision is always followed. If you like the academic word, it's the productivist welfare regime. In short, it means that social welfare is mainly for the productive elements. Those who are counted as not productive, they do not have, that sort of privilege to enjoy the public money. Personal social service or social welfare services and the community development service, which are part of the personal social services in Hong Kong, they are viewed as serving those non-productive elements in Hong Kong. So they experience all kind of what we call residualization. Money is not, to this sector is not the priority. And the provision of social welfare services, including the community development services, are mainly by the NGOs. So we get back to the changes. What happens in Hong Kong is following the NPM, the New Public Management Principles, we have, a number of initiatives since 2000. One is the setting up of the lump sum grant mechanism, and it results in cutting down, the rate of increase of social welfare spending to the NGO. The other is the competitive tendering mechanism. So now we do not have guarantee of continuing provision of services. You have to bid for it. If you fail to get a tender, yes, thank you very much. You've been doing very well, but wait for another occasion to come. Service just stopped. And performance-oriented mechanism, in short, in Hong Kong, we call it the FSA, the Funding and Service Agreement. Everything's focused on the measurable output, efficiency, very important, cost conscious. You have to be careful about spending money. Where's the term quality service? Sorry, it's not my mistake. And also, we have that initiatives of transforming or transferring the state resources from the community development services to other services. But this initiative failed because of the joint protest of the workers, users, and the academics together. We managed to stop it. And a number of research, done by me and the other academics shows a depressing picture. First, lowering the increase of social welfare spending by the SAR government. That's what they want. Second is the fragmentation of services. We have, all kind of short-term projects offered, and there's no continuity of that sort of inter-organizational collaboration, which is regarded as critical for offering quality service, but it just disappeared because you fail to get the tender, then everything stopped. And also discontinuity of service because what I mentioned, failure to win the tender. And rising dropout rates of junior as well as experienced workers, even though we all know that worker-users relationship are critical to a quality service. And the second part is we notice that there is a changing administration of social services. We all aim at meeting service output targets. We all aim at quantity. We all avoid services involving intensive interaction with users. Yes, avoiding intensive interaction with users. It weakened the trustful relationship between workers and service users. It worsened the employment conditions for social and community workers. I have to, if those who have no idea about the community work situations in our part of the world, community work is counted as part of social work. So we usually use social stroke community workers to imply that they are more or less the same. Of course, in terms of intervention method, they are definitely not the same. We all know that. The issues about their employment condition is, we have instability of employment, overloaded workers, paperwork more than people's work, chasing after new ideas for winning tenders rather than spending time in delivering quality services. We have increasing dominance of the efficiency discourse and practices. The accountant and the business management people now, they are the real boss in the welfare sectors. You know why? Because they do not learn and they do not follow social work and community work principles. That's why they have to be the boss. Interestingly, this kind of thinking, right? And favoring particular kind of NGOs, large NGOs rather than small NGO, and emergence of new and pro-government NGO. Now we focus on the impact on the civil society. Yes, we see the relationship between government and NGO from a partnership to what we call the funder-provider relationship. And the funder prefer cooperative models. And we have the policy advocacy now becoming more and more difficult, particularly relating to the social welfare policy. Enough for the depressing pictures because I don't have much time. So we come to the but. Research shows that there are a substantial group of NGO and community workers. They committed to community work and they continue to provide quality service despite all odds. Innovation of community service provided. We have friends sharing, their experience in the para sections and increasing volunteerism within the community work community. We have increasing partnership between the academics and the practitioners, and we have the continuing policy advocacy through coalition and or social movement frameworks. Resistance of committed community worker through the research reveals that could be a key to the continuing development of community development practice in our part of the world. Of course, if those who are interested in the framework issue, I noticed that the process model has the virtues of helping us to focus on the resistance the community workers actively involved in. The values of community development is become very critical. This kind of commitment to the value of equality, social justice, participation, empowerment, collective support, they're critical now. And it helps it facilitates the committed community workers to keep on, working or fighting for their belief. Solidarity of communities are essential now. And in these 2 days, and also in the past years of my experience, notice that, that kind of mutual support from the local to the global. And with that sort of support, we get back to the local. There are still hope for further, advancing our goal, our belief in community development. And that's what I have to say. So, thank you very much.